Okay, welcome everybody to my channel. Today we have a very special guest, fellow filmmaker, um, very charismatic
Oh,
person of note who has had a number of credits to his name. It's Alejandro Montoya Marin joining me to talk
what?
about his product, his projects,
I
and
thought you were
his
talking about me.
career. And as my wingman, the Paul Schaefer to my David Letterman, Paul Chato.
Yes, I am suffering from a bad cold, but it does give me an interesting voice, and I can say, Alejandro Montoya Marin.
That's right.
I,
So,
I
Sounds better when you guys say my name.
well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang with us for a little bit and talk a little bit about you. And for those out there who don't know Alejandro, please let me give you the floor. Introduce yourself to our audience so that they can get a taste of what to expect from you today.
Good Lord, that's such an intro that I have to live up to it. Who am I? I'm no one. My name is Alejandro. I'm an independent filmmaker. I live in Los Angeles, born in Laredo, Texas, raised in Mexico, went to school in Canada, and then New Mexico, Albuquerque. Yes, the land of Breaking Bad. I was there when it was the hype. I got to PA in an episode of Breaking Bad for a day play, and then I don't think I even made the credits because I day played. And then I moved to LA. And when I moved, the strike happened. I'm just an independent filmmaker here. Thank you guys for having me come to the show. And I know these gents from a while. And we went to what's it called? That sandwich place we went. It was a great spot.
It's Phil's. Phil's.
Loved it.
Yeah, no, that was my first time there in a while. It was great actually meeting you in person when
Likewise.
we came down to LA for a number of reasons. One of which is that, as you described in your biography, you're like a North American because you've been to the three major countries on the continent and spent some considerable time there. The other part too is that you and I, even though our paths haven't really crossed, we both got started around the same time. Uh, because I started in early 2006. You around the same time, because if it was the writer's strike that hit, that would have been 2007. So that'd be right in that peak window there.
Mhm.
So we are of the generation that should be taking the reins of this industry. But of course, Hollywood politics have made that a little bit trying. However, it has not dissuaded myself or you, because you have a number of credits that you have put together for over the many years you've done this job as a writer, director, producer. So, how about you share with us a little bit of your origin story after the Breaking Bad at PA and of course the writer's strike.
and being bitten by a radioactive spider.
I wish. I'd save so much money on Ubers. Ah, man, that's a question. After the strike, what happened after the strike? Well, we shot a movie. We shot a movie called The Unexpecteds. I feel that, and I don't know, man. In time, I think everyone will. The older we get, we realize that there's always going to be something looming.
Mhm.
So whether it's good or bad, or both at the same time, so it's kind of like you have to take the bad and use that to do something you like to get out of that funk because the world and everything is just shitty. So that's how artists find solace and recharge with art. And I feel that when the strike, especially when the pandemic happened,
Mhm.
I made it a point to write two or three short films. When the strike happened, I'm not WGA, so I wrote a lot. Um, yeah, before the end of this year, I've been writing, so it's always keeping busy. So what did I do? I wrote and directed after the strike. Before the strike happened, we directed my third feature film, which is called The Unexpecteds in Albuquerque.
Oh, so you shot it that long ago?
We shot it in March of 2023 and then editing and then film festivals. So we toured film festivals last year. Like the first film festival we went to was La Leaf here in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Fantastic film festival. and then we were going to Albuquerque, New York, New Jersey. Um, we went to Temecula, and we have a couple of other film festivals that we can't announce as of yet. But as we tour, we're looking for distribution because we wanted to make the movie we wanted to make, and take that big risk to then hopefully get distribution. And we're getting really close to announce. So it was a long journey, but it's worth it when people respond to the movie, and
Oh yeah, I mean, well, this is the putting it all out on the line, right? And this is the strives that indie filmmakers go through all the time. If they're fortunate enough to get financing, then the next step is distribution, and then from there it comes based on, well, how popular can we get this movie when we hit the festival circuit? Can we get sold out shows? Can we get a lot of interest? Can we get the people that are covering this in social media and the trades to talk about the film?
and
We
and
feel
that's
like,
not enough, man.
yeah.
That's not enough anymore. Do I call
No.
you the script doctor? Do I
Yeah,
call
of
you?
course.
Okay. No, that's not enough anymore, and it's pretty kind of demoralizing. But you, as an independent filmmaker, have to take it in your own rebellious, I guess, challenging personality that led you to become a filmmaker, takes that in and goes, okay, how do I flip what they just told me on them?
Yeah.
Kind
Well, I
of
mean,
like I made it my point that I think I'm Saul Goodman. I'm fucking McGill. That's every time something bad is like, okay, but hang on, let me see how we can do this. Just to keep the dream alive.
I mean, it's constant negotiations with every new step taken, right? Like you get one step closer. You've done that because you've negotiated to get that step, and that step comes with another negotiation, another negotiation.
Yeah.
Now, like as I was saying before, you want to get the momentum with regards to the festival circuit and for people talking about it, but that's again your first two steps, right? The
Mhm.
next one is, okay, film markets, getting people to want to buy it, securing that distribution deal, and not only that, securing the distribution deal that you think is the best benefit to your film, because anyone
Exactly.
could throw something on like a Tubi or a Pluto or a Netflix, but it's like, well, what does that come with? So as an indie filmmaker, you're on your third feature film. What were some of the challenges that you faced in the previous films, that you have some experience going forward with this one as the unexpected is starting to ramp up its circuit?
That's a great question. It's a great question because I have to be careful how I say this, and I'm ESL, so sometimes it comes and bites me in the ass. But I think that there should be movies of both types, with people with recognizable face and without, because we need to discover the new faces that are going to take the industry to the next level and for the next 20 years. We can't just keep counting on Liam Neeson still kicking ass, homie. We
In
need
his
to
70s
find
right now.
we need to find the new who's you know what I mean? So people, as a director, you have to balance the give them recognizable faces and names, but also try to discover new faces and the ones that fit perfect for the role. It's a whole balance, I think. um oh shit, that's a really good question, and we're just getting started. It's because my mind's going all over the place, because maybe a year ago I would have sang a different tune, but right now we're getting some exciting news, and it makes me believe that being as authentic as possible is working, or is, I don't know, like it's doing something, but maybe I'm just being hopeful. I
Well, perhaps, but I mean, in the last year, I've seen a shift in the industry where, yes, authenticity and merit seem to be boiling to the surface finally after so many years of it being kind of there in the background, but not not on the more on the back burner instead of on the front burner events. It's more like, oh, well, how do we market this? Well, we can use these aspects, which have nothing to do with the actual production or the story or with the vision that the director or writer are trying to put forward, but it's a hot topic, so we want to explore it. Now I've been noticing that the shift is kind of gearing away from that. Not so much in the trades, but with everybody outside of the trades when they're talking about the projects they're working on. It's almost gone back to the old school, which is it's this passionate
Kind of.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rules of the succession and creating success, I don't think are ever going to be subverted.
Mhm.
I think, when you're an independent movie director such as yourself, have you attempted to get a relative name actor as an anchor for a film? Has that ever been a goal?
I mean, technically, if I say, I mean, I
Like,
didn't go I didn't go about it like that on The Unexpected, but I mean, I guess Matt Walsh is in The Unexpected, but I didn't go. I befriended Matt because we both worked on Flaming Hot, and
right.
then we did a short film, and then we wrote a feature film that I'm like, hey, dude, I want to give you I want to write a role that's like your Shaun of the Dead.
Right, but I'm saying like something like Little Miss Sunshine had Alan Arkin. Not that he's a huge star,
Mhm.
but that's been a tried and true way for independent producers to beg, borrow, like Free Enterprise grabbed William Shatner,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I don't think those rules are ever going to change.
No,
I mean, we're sucking up to people who have some notoriety, and you're trying to promote your film through any way that you possibly can. When I did a course in Ottawa on how to pitch a sitcom, and
mm-hmm.
that was you're not trying to get people to uh, buy your idea, you're challenging them to turn you down, which is why you go in with the package that I've got the director, my star is this, I've got Sylvester Stallone starring in this sitcom, plus it's being written by, uh, uh, Stephen Bochco, something like that. So you're going in and saying, "Hey, fucker, sorry, hey, asshole, I'm challenging you to turn me down, as opposed to me begging for you to pick it up." So that's always the best way to do it. But again, I think that's even harder now, the way
It is
things are.
because I feel like I have that with The Unexpected, and we went on several platforms, and they don't see like
It looks great.
the
Yeah.
soundtrack alone for this movie. I don't know that if people, well, they're always like, oh, no one cares about the soundtrack, but no, I'm like, that's not true. A good soundtrack in a movie,
Oh, sure.
wherever you see it, is going to make you go hear it. And we have a really good soundtrack. Like we have the Beths from Australia, we have music from Plastilina Mosh, and we have, right now we have the Beastie Boys, but we're working on something interesting that I can't say yet.
That's
But
right.
we have good stuff. We have good stuff because the movie shouldn't just be the faces that are in the movie. It's the faces and what's the movie about and what's the music and what's the, I don't know, man.
Would you
I think
say would you say this is a more commercial?
Oh yeah, I think this one's universal. Like I that's what I like about the movie. It's like it's so unpretentious and just a fun movie.
It has a
Well,
good snap to it.
well, let's give those out there watching and
Yeah.
listening a little bit of context. How about you give us the elevator pitch of The Unexpecteds, and then we'll go ahead to the trailer.
The Unexpected is an action comedy about five best friends that bet their life savings on a YouTuber that scams them. And now, when they start losing or their lives start collapsing, they got to figure out a way to get the money back. So imagine all these schlubs trying to do a little heist.
All right. Well, with that, let's set up for the trailer here, and hopefully, the audio will come through. I am sharing it. Okay, so let's give it a listen for The Unexpecteds.
We are live in 5,
The World Wide Web,
4,
a digital Wild West
3.
for scammers and Bitcoin peddlers.
Today is the greatest and most important day of your life.
Today's the day you meet me. When I was a kid, I survived on bologna sandwiches and duct tape sneakers. You're poor for a reason. It's your choice. I'm helping so many people make millions.
Influencers promising quick wealth, squeezing hard-earned dollars out of desperate dreamers.
Thank you guys for trusting me, because I can truly see how bright the light shines on this very special group. Here! I'm sorry. We lost it all.
Gary, what the hell was that?
Did our money just vanish into thin air?
I am going to fucking die.
One day you're on top of the world, and then life gives you a good old-fashioned ass-kicking.
We're here because of you, Gary.
Sign the papers. Maybe you should audition for OnlyFans.
I'm trying to get my life together, okay?
I might have another way to get us our money back.
No one gets in between me and my money.
So, when do we begin?
We've already begun.
What are you up to?
I'm just trying to do everything I can to get my family back.
Wow. Okay, Paul, that's that's
Excessive.
But yeah, you've got. Well, I mean, one of the things is it's a pretty strong premise. Get revenge on the hoodwinker. Sort of
The
thing.
underdogs have their say in the sun.
That's right.
It looked
And
great.
It did look great, and you have the proper actor Matt Walsh, not to be confused with the other guy.
Yeah, the sex. What is a woman? I thought. Wait a second. What is
No,
a
but you
woman?
got
Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh. He's a legendary character actor.
Yeah.
He's been around for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit more. So you got Matt Walsh. You got Alejandro de Hoyos, who is playing, I guess the mentor type character from the trailer here. He's going to be leading in this path of revenge.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit. Well, whatever you're able to tell us a little bit more about this about this film of the unexpecteds and how you went about to developing the concept and getting it to this point.
By really liking film and really believing that you have something. I think it's it was a whole journey, man. It's been a whole journey. It's been writing the draft, pushing the cast, and it's a whole thing. It's great. It's how did it come around? I mean, I worked with Matt Walsh in Flaming Hot.
Mm-hmm.
We were always getting makeup done at the same time, and we bonded over film. We bonded over One Car Y, and I started giving him like movies because Criterion had just released the One Car Y edition, I think during 22 or 23 or something like that. And I got the box set, so I gave him because he was staying at a hotel in Albuquerque. And I was like, "Oh, you're probably bored. Here's some movies." So then when I moved to LA, we did a short film. We wrote a script. We got along great. And I told him like, "Hey, man, I want to do this like indie action comedy. It's funny. It's about these schlubs, but they have the heart of gold, and I think it could be very relatable because everybody in the world wants to have, they have their motivation. Everybody wants a better life for their family, and sometimes the powers that be or the people you invest or chance or whatever screws you over, and sometimes we got to take it, and sometimes like these characters they decide not to. So I think it's a very fun so a movie that I would see in the theater, just like, hey, I'm gonna go see this with my homies or my friends or whatever.
Yeah. So did this come about with, I guess, the escalation with the phishing schemes that have been popping up over the last few years? Is that one of the key inspirations for it?
Oh yeah, and remember, I shot this in 22, so it's 22 and 23, and then editing and film festivals was 24, and then it'll come out officially this year, but I still don't have the date, but it'll be soon. And yes, of course, I just seeing how many of them get away with so much crap is just, I mean, but it's the same thing, right? Because then it was those you can also have a house and a boat like me. Like they've been going around for decades. This is
Oh
just the
yeah.
version.
Well, they used to have those. What was it? Paid for television infomercials, where the guy would talk about all the stories, and then you'd go to a bunch of people that he so called helped, get them into financial straits and whatnot. So yeah, I like that you got this funny little playoff on that aspect, and I appreciate. I also felt like it's kind of funny how um, you allow the audience to participate in the dramatic irony where they see a little bit of that video of the guy and his brilliant life, and you're like, oh, he's got some women around him. They're not exactly the most beautiful women around.
Oh, shooting that was so much fun, man. I can't wait for people to see um when the bloopers come out
Mhm.
and yeah, the whole intro is his promotional video. It's so much fun. It was so much fun to do.
What was it like to shoot action?
Stressful. Because you want to do good. You just don't want to half-ass it. It's very time consuming, but it's such a great payoff seeing the audience enthralled and like, oh, like there's Paulie could attest because Paulie saw it at La Leaf and he's backstage making sure things work great. Thank you, Paulie. But there's a couple of hits in the action scenes that always get the crowd to go, oh, and it's great because you're collaborating with this amazing stunt team. Alejandro de Hoyos did freaking 80% of his stunts, like or 90, like a good chunk. It's him round kicking and all that, and seeing it, it's really cool, especially because this is a beat. I mean, we had a day deducted. We had planned this whole humongous thing, and then weather switched something that we're like, we
Sure.
only got a day now, so we had to really like kick it into second gear. So
Yeah, just
stressful, but I can't wait to do it again.
you just shoot headshots of people going, oh, that must have hurt. Oh my gosh! Like you don't show
Steven
any of the.
Seagal.
Yes, that's right. Well, I was impressed with the the how snappy the kicks were. That they
Oh.
had a nice snap as opposed to kick, like
There's-
Marvel kicking.
We got people being thrown from second stories. We got people roundhoused, drop
Right.
kicked.
Yeah, but you see
there's good stuff.
Yeah, you see the entire kick as opposed to a medium shot person leaning over, ready to lift up their leg, and then cut to leg hitting the person's body.
Yeah.
I liked what I mean. I only saw the trailer, but I liked what I saw.
you,
That
man.
was pretty cool.
Thank you. I hope hopefully soon you can check it out and see if it pays off for the.
I want to
for
see it in
very
the
small
cinema.
act.
When can I see it in a cinema?
Well, the way we're figuring things out is probably going to be an online premiere, but we are talking in a couple of countries about a possible theater premiere. It's really weird, man. Like I can't say it fully, but big distribution people we're like, I don't know, but some big names have been like joining the resistance and adding their names to help us get it across. We haven't announced it yet, but it's very promising. So it's kind of like we have to again accept it and take the different approach and see what we can make it work. So people like you guys giving people like me an opportunity to talk about independent film when it's always welcome. So thank you.
Well, it's also moving up the ladder of connections. I'm reading Joe Esterhazy's book on screen. You know Joe Esterhazy, the
No, I don't.
screenwriter. Yeah, he did.
Legendary screenwriter from the 80s and 90s. His claim to fame, I think, would be what Showgirls.
No, that's not his claim to fame. The one
I
with
mean,
Sharon
How
Stone.
was his decline?
No. That was when he was allowed to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah,
and it burned him. That's why it's a claim to fame, because it's a result
What other
of.
movies has he done?
Well, he did the Sharon Stone film, where she
Basic Instinct, yeah.
Basic Instinct, and also I think the one with Glenn Close with the
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Didn't he write that?
Great movie.
I guess Script is going to look that up. No, so he had some monster successes at the beginning. He did Fist, which was not a success at all, the one with Norman Houston. But the one before Fist was a huge success. But he's got this mammoth book, and I'm just reading through it. And
Oh, nice.
you know, Hollywood is all about lucky enough to get the right agent who has Steven Spielberg comes to his barbecues regularly. I mean, you know, that it is really is all about who you know. So that you're and as you progress, you're gonna know more people.
Yeah, I still don't have an agent or manager.
I mean, well, that's just the
Just I
hang-ups of independent, but it's not necessarily to your detriment in this climate in Hollywood right now. It actually allows you to have a
Yeah.
little bit more control over the negotiations and also a little bit more power into what it is that you want to how you want to shape your career. I mean, one of the worst things that you can happen for an independence, and we've seen this already with Disney taking advantage over the last decade, is that you get that one hit film, then the big studio swoops in, they grab you, they sign you to a contract on one of their studio projects, but then you realize everything that you learned and everything that made you stand out to get the job is now being suppressed. And so where's your career after that? Well, now you're just back to square one again, where maybe you have a couple more doors open with regards to networking, but is not necessarily going to guarantee you the finances needed to make that other movie. Whereas before you got snatched up by the big studio, you were building your resume, you're showcasing the level of authorship that you as a filmmaker had. And that's where you get your cred, where when the studio brings you in, they're bringing you in because you're you, not because you had that one hit and they wanted to kind of just get a body into the place and have that name from that one hit help bolster their production, but not let you use the very tools that you've developed to have that earned you that initial hit in the first place. Like that's the dicey area of what happens in the current climate, where yeah, you get that first movie, you get your agent, you get your publicist, you get your manager, they start hooking up with all these studios, these important people, and the next thing you realize is you don't have control over your career anymore. I mean,
yeah.
that's what actually, I mean, that's why we have a little bit of a gap creatively on the main side of the studio system, where a movie like The Unexpected can kind of fill that gap, especially if, you know, some of the distributors and some of the studios will get their heads out of their butt, take a look at the film, rate it on its merit, and say, hey, yeah, you know what, let's give this a theatrical release. Let's give it a little bit of promotion that's based on its budget, its impact, and see what we can pull off out of that, because you never know, right?
Yeah, was this film crowdfunded like your Millennium Bugs?
No. We got a financier and Alejandro de Hoyos and a couple of other people were the ones that put the money together, and not crowdfunded. And it's also, I feel that the movie with the budget that it was, even though it's bigger than the other budgets that I've done, it still gets labeled as way more than what it was. I don't know. I feel like that's a strong point there. It's like, hey, we don't need to spend all this money if we just rein it a little bit and we can, actually try to turn a profit. Like someone told me, oh yeah, right, you wouldn't take an $100 million film. I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. No way. I'm not ready for that. But I can say that. Whereas people are like, oh, well, let him and he won't make money. That's fine, man. I don't come for money. I don't want to just burn fucking money just to say that I burned it. You know what? Give me a $5 million movie. Yeah, I can do that. That I can do. And 100, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you can burn through 5 million pretty quick. You can burn through 5 million pretty quickly. For the people out there, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah. People will be like, right, watching me going like, look at this pretentious bastard, $5 million. Like, if you think about it, I was out talking to someone about marketing because we're doing the marketing pitches and breakdowns for The Unexpecteds, and I go, just think about this: a plane ticket to New York could cost $750 minimum. That's just a plane ticket, plus hotels, plus Ubers. For an actor to go promote, you're already seeing $4,000.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah.
And my guest has 5. Starts adding. It's like it's. Yeah.
And that's just on the physical circuit. The other part with expensive marketing is your social media and your internet presence, because that has to be maintained almost in perpetuity. It's like if you do the website, you got to hold on to that website as long as you can, and as long as that and that website has to direct to order so that you can get your digital or physical copies as well. So it's got those logistics and those fees associated with it, and it goes into the long term. This is why some studios were so keen, especially at the turn of the century when the internet was this new medium to distribute. They were so keen on landing those net deals, those net points on the net, because they knew the expenses against the gross could actually eat into that points on the net. Where prior to that, if you got a net or a gross deal with the limited distributions of physical media, you were still kind of in a decent ballpark. But you slowly learn you always want to negotiate for the gross. But if you're a guy that got started in the 80s and you're like, oh, the net profits, well, we already know that the net profits are publicly recorded on this. So if they give me a net deal, I know what my percentage will be. And that comes, after they spent all the money of, printing the discs or manufacturing the tapes and shipping them out and selling them to your Walmarts and your Blockbusters and all the outlets that we used to have for that. All was fine and dandy. But as soon as the internet came in, and it's like, well, now we can actually distribute the film without any real true physical production and overhead on it. So we can make that production, that non-physical overhead, whatever number we want against the net. And then we can always write off those expenses and roll it into something else so that the people involved, their royalties get diminished and they're not in the same area. That's what all led to like the 2007 strike. And it also kind of rolled over a little bit into more recent strike as well. And now that has all been kind of changed. So yeah, when you're dealing with marketing and you're dealing with the points and expenses and the maintenance and stuff of it on the independent side of thing, you realize that you don't have as long of a window for that as well. So it's basically like, okay, once you get everything all set and done, you got the press tour, press junket, you've got your showcases, it goes into your limited screens, if you're lucky to get that, and then you're going into your distribution. You, Alejandro, as an indie filmmaker, you almost can never stop promoting that movie.
I know. I thought about it. I was like, I'm gonna have to be promoting this when I'm doing the other one. Oh, check out my last one.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's
because I have friends who they used to work for Trauma, and what they would do, even to this day, they still would go out with either an email chain, social media on the X or Instagram and stuff, and say, "Hey, check out this movie I made back in 2009. It's available on this streaming platform, what have you," because that's part of the deal. And on the bigger side of the studio things, they have a department that already does that in much different ways. They do like the anniversary releases and the restorations and the rescans and all that stuff. And we on the independent side of things is like, no, it's still the same pressing that we made back then. But it's a great movie, and you're gonna want to love it. You're gonna love it. So
another reel, maybe another. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm seeing that, and definitely want to be strategic with the marketing, especially where we screen, and yeah, no, it's been a whole conversation. How do we do this? Should we do some sort of what kind of viral technique or marketing? Where would we promote? Like, I have the movie translated in Spanish, subtitles, so we can get it subtitled as well. Like, there's strategies of how we can do it.
So is there an independent marketer to theaters, like a company that specializes in independent films to multiplexes? I can't.
Yeah, several distribution people that do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's dozens.
Like, what I don't understand is what's the risk in grabbing one theater for 1 week even, and getting it into the AMC chain. Like, I don't understand what the problem is.
I think and I don't know, but from what I've gathered is their split is so minuscule. For 1 week, it has to be sold out every single day for one theater to make some sort of, and by doing that, you definitely need a constant promotion.
But I guess my point is, if we can train the audience that every single week you're going to see an independent film in theater X, and make it part of the zeitgeist of the theater, Like,
that'd be great.
see, so then it's the the festival mentality more than anything else. Come to see, for this special fee, you get to see every single independent movie that comes in every single week or 2 weeks or whatever. I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm hoping that with the promo, bless you.
Thank you.
With the promo, like one of the things that I promoted the crap out of this movie last year, and one of our proudest things is we had what 8 screenings, and we had 7 or 8 sold out.
Wow.
So
That's fantastic.
that's a promo. Thank you. That's a promo that I could give. We had 8 sold out screenings.
But why wouldn't that attract the distributor? Like,
oh, homie, you're preaching to the choir. I came into distributors going, we sold out almost all our screenings except one.
right.
We won 4 awards, including Best Comedy at Kevin Smith's Film Festival.
Wow.
Audience Award in Albuquerque, one of the biggest film cities of the country. We have Matt Walsh, who is a 2-time Emmy-nominated actor, one of the biggest comedies of HBO history. We have Alejandro de Hoyos, who was just in one of the biggest movies of Netflix history, The Man from Toronto. He plays the villain.
Mhm.
There were little things like we have Beastie Boys, we have Natasha Leggero, we have Sleigh
Right.
Bells, we have we gave them everything on Chelsea Rendon, who has a massive following here in LA, Francisco Ramos, Jerry Bednob, Sonia Smith, who does
Jerry Bednob, a Toronto stand-up.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I performed with Jerry Bednob.
Dude, he's a legend.
He's the
He's a
indie.
legend.
He's the go-to South Asian for the longest time.
He is hilarious.
Yes, he's very funny.
thankful. Guy is. Everyone knows who he is.
So what is the problem with the distributors? They're just not creative. They're
I don't know, man. I gave you just a cheese platter.
Sure, I know, I get it.
Storyboard.
And this is what I was talking about before. Is like, okay, now turn me down. I mean, you're not begging to be distributed. You're challenging the distributor to say, hey, look, how are you going to turn me down because I've got such a good cheese platter?
Exactly.
And what is their inertia? Like, I don't know the distribution business at all. Like, of all the things in Hollywood, that is something I know nothing about. Are they just lazy fuckers? I mean, I don't get it.
No, it's very complicated because theater chains themselves book many, many months in advance of what they're going to show.
Sure.
Some distributors have isolated those windows with no real film in mind, just to have the reservation so they can fill in with a film. And then after that, the other part too is that you have to hedge your bets that the movies and the screens that you're able to get, even in the smaller side of things, are going to pay off. Otherwise, the only other option an independent can do is for a wall of theater, and that could be on the cheaper side of things, $800, and on the higher side of things, a few grand. And yeah, you get all the ticket sales for that particular screening, but there's no guarantee that you're going to recoup your money. That's why they do the four walling. And that's why it's also pretty rare. But the way that distribution works is that a lot of the bigger studios, they book all the peak weekends.
That's the Disney will cream you.
And then after that, it's the other distributors, the smaller ones, they pick up whatever the scraps are. And from those scraps, they themselves are also considering, will this movie tantalize me enough to think that the scraps that I have will become profitable? And that's up to us as indie filmmakers to try and prove to them that, yes, these movies that we are making, the unexpecteds, will get your money back. I mean, and the thing is, we are very committed to believing that's going to be the case. The market will eventually always decide, but with the right distributor, with the right promotion, with the right exposure, yeah, and you balance it towards the investment of what the actual film cost, you are able to mathematically find a way to return on your investment there. And it's the trickiest thing because a lot of distributors, sometimes they'll say, hey, you know what? We love this movie. Heck, we'll even front you some of the production costs for it to lock it down. All you have to do is just come up with the rest. And then Bob's your uncle, you got your deal and you don't have to worry about it. And then you have the stuff that's on the other side, which is you've already you made your movie. You proved to everyone you needed to get the money to make the movie that it works. Now you got to use all those same people to then prove to the distributors that you interview, saying, look at who we got behind to support this film. Look at what the accolades we've earned. This should be, a single, a 3-pointer for you, all net, no bouncing off the backboards, no licking the rim, just a swoosh, if you will. And what do you got? Well, they can't make the decision right then and there. Sometimes the distributors have to, at the film market, they have to go back to their higher ups and be like, okay, this is the pitch. This is what we like. What
Yeah,
do you
this
say?
is
It
this
goes
is.
through a tier process.
Have you been to the Banff Film Festival?
No,
Oh
never.
yeah, but Alejandro, you should definitely enter the BAMP if you can. Enter BAMP, enter TIFF, enter.
We were
And
shortlisted at TIFF.
Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, TIFF does shortlist a lot of a lot of a lot of movies. Sadly, um, even though they have the facilities to do a lot more than what they actually show.
Yeah,
So
Banff is good. Con I hear is quite popular.
going out to France.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also stuff in Italy and Greece. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, the other part too is you have the hardest thing to land a spot is getting into the American film market or the foreign film markets, because that's where you go there with your package, where you go with your trailer, and you just go from table to table, essentially saying, "Hey, how would you like to showcase this film for whatever weekend you want? Because it's gonna put butts in seats." And it's the toughest thing to do for on the indie side of things.
I mean, do you ever think that maybe? I mean, you've got Focus Entertainment and A24. I mean, they expect a certain level of quality for their whenever they distribute something. I mean, with every single one of your films, each one, I mean, improves. Although I'm sure a Millennium Bugs, I thought looked absolutely thoroughly professional. There was nothing about it that to me screamed independent, because I kind of get this thing in my back of my throat when I see, some like a sci-fi film or something, and that's that like, and I have to be quite honest with you. I used to see a lot of independent films, and I stopped watching them because I mean, yeah, it's a stepping stone. I mean, I give people credit for wanting to do this stuff, but yeah, Millennium Bugs I thought was really professional. I'm looking forward to seeing this. It's such a tough business. I mean, you have to be a masochist to want to stay in it.
I agree. That's where I've come to terms with. I'm like, well, maybe I just I like to push my own delirium, or I just maybe it's a self righteousness of myself wanting to be part of at least a piece of an art form that I respect and love too much.
I think what you're doing is actually creating a history for yourself. Because if I think back to the beginnings of the Frantics, where we auditioned for the Holiday Inn circuit in a discotheque where it was mirrors all the way around, which is very difficult for a sketch troupe to perform in, let me tell you, including those mylar curtains, very, very, classy place to do sketch comedy, a strip club. So that's where we auditioned, of course. And then, you think back and you go, yeah, in between our sets, when we were in between our breaks, the Holiday Inn would let people pay $1 to sledgehammer a Volkswagen Beetle that's off to the side. You pay $1, you took a sledgehammer, you beat a Volkswagen Bug. That's the life of a comedian. But eventually we became successful, and you just look back on it and you go, wow, I'm never going to do that again. Or I can't believe I actually existed that way. And you're at that, you're now creating your history is what you're doing. You're going to look back at this and you go, I actually talked with those two idiots? Really?
No, you're right. It's seeing the potential of what's happening and how to not, if I'm complaining about this, how do I make a change in that? And how do I help? But first you have to, first I can't help anyone until I get to a position of but I try to Yeah, man, to not get discouraged, to keep
Oh,
creating, to talk about it with friends, to see what they're creating.
and the last thing I'm trying to do is discourage you. I mean,
Oh, no, of course. Like, no, I think yeah, no, I understand exactly what you said, and that means a lot. It's resilience. It's
Mhm.
why some people have different goals in life, and I think that my goal was to when I was younger, and I still discover movies and see how, like, I just saw Seven on IMAX, and and
Mhm.
and,
Wow.
and it made me feel like, wow, film, Jesus Christ.
And that wasn't an expensive film.
And that wasn't an expensive film. It was just a beautifully made film. And from every aspect, from sound to editing to art direction, from acting,
Credits.
credits, everything in that movie. And I think I remember getting sad watching it going, God damn it. I probably will never make a movie as good as this.
But you know what?
But because I love it. I don't know.
Well, it's not just that, but it's also what a great movie to have as your metric to try and achieve
Yeah.
to reach. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
man.
thing, right? Like, what would you rather say? I'd never make a movie as great as Seven, or I would never make a movie as great as Crank. Like, clearly, Seven's the better of the two, although Crank is fun.
Crank is dope. I was going to say, yo, hang on.
Well, Wolfman.
Yeah, Seven's to me, Seven, Crank. But
Well,
still,
because again, there's two different types, but there's different qualities. Like Crank is ridiculous and fun, and it's cheesy, and it's playing into that. Seven is an auteur type of film. It's what is there. So this gets me
Yeah.
into something about you as a director I'd like to explore, which is um, when you're working on the unexpected, before you even got into production, how were you planning your days? What were you prioritizing and making sure that you could make your days? Because this is great advice for any upcoming indie filmmaker. Because it's not something they always think about, right? It's
yeah. You know, I made sure to be strategic. I'm always strategic. I'm always very thankful for people that are taking time to do my indie movie that I don't want to waste their time. So how do I prep? I prep about 70 or 60%. And in a way, people go like, no, you should prep 110. I mean, it's 110, but out of the realm of film, that's a 60%. Because you got to keep 40 in improv. You have to, because every day there's a problem. Someone's schedule, someone gets sick, someone thinks that the dialogue would hit better this way. And you have to, when you're young, I think we said this once, when you're young, you're like, no, this is the way, and I'm not Tarantino. I am not an auteur. I am not that fucking good. And if I'm bringing these people to my set, is because I respect who they are as artists and what they can contribute. So you become Play-Doh. You become clay, plastilina. Oh, hey, and you kind of move it around and get what you need to make a cohesive feature, because I only had 15 days, which people are like, oh, that's enough. But when you're doing a 5-person main character heist, and because that's another thing, you can follow people's rules. People told me, oh, you should make it if you only have that much money, then get a big actor and do something like Buried. No, why do what they tell you to do? Use the little money and go balls as much as possible. Balls to the wall, man. So I think it's improvising, keeping know what you're doing, so you're not wasting people's time.
mm-hmm.
And then, how are we doing on time? No, we're good. We're 30 minutes on schedule. Give me an improv. Do whatever you want. I always do that. I get 1 or 2 takes or whatever, and then I give the actor was their opportunity to have fun as well.
And when you plan out those times on your days, and you're looking like you've written the script, you've got a vision in your head of how you want to do that.
Yeah.
You then make your notes. Okay, this is the shots that I need. This is how I have to break up this scene into tinier sequences. How do you prioritize that? Do you go like wide master first, and then you go narrow down, or do you go narrow and out, or do you mix it up? Like how do you do that, and how much coordination do you have with your cinematographer, and why is that important?
100%, man. I work with this has been one of the most harmonious sets I've been on my life. And I think it translates to movie because you can tell we were having fun. So right off the bat when we get there, yo, I have a shot list. I do my shot list. I have notebooks with particular shots that I want to pursue, that I want to get. Like, oh no, the see, like, oh, I need them all four here, or and then from there I describe it. I sit down with my cinematographer and we break down what the shots would be. Then when we get there with the location, we go through them, and with my AD, we start. Okay, so we should be out of this scene in 4 hours. Okay, great, and we go to it. And then if we see that we have 20 more minutes, I am always asking them, "How are we doing on time?" So then I know where I can sprinkle my improvisation, my me wanting to do something creative.
That's pretty awesome. And this is a system that I guess you developed from doing all the short films and then your other feature films as well.
Yeah, man. I think it's a pretty well, I don't know how everybody works, but I feel like it's a pretty basic strategy. Finish time, finish quicker, or not finish quicker, but be respectful of time. Because also with unions, you start getting charged more after 12 hours, and people that are not in the industry, like, oh, really? They're gonna complain about working? It's like that's a 12-hour day, homie, plus an hour drive and an hour back, or 30 minutes. That's 13, 14-hour days. That's not piece. That's not cake.
Nope.
So and I dare anyone who I've worked in construction, I've worked as a mover, and I've worked as a grip, and I've worked as a PA, and you have to lift shit. I'm actually having back problems now because I worked at grip companies and whatnot. So how dare people well, just have them stay 3 hours longer. Like, yeah, it's okay if you pay them, but even then, you're a manager. How many times do you want people to come overtime in a row? That'll burn them.
So in this particular production, did you have the budget for honey wagons?
We had one for makeup. We had two. We have one for makeup and wardrobe, and another one that someone donated.
Oh, nice.
Well, we were indie. We were still under $1 million and above 100K.
I was just curious.
But no, we never had one. We didn't have one.
Actors are very accommodating on indie films. I mean, it's quite
All
amazing.
of them were gems.
Yeah.
Everyone was gems. Like
you're lucky you didn't hire me. I'm terrible.
You're a diva.
He is a diva. So, okay, so we've talked about your history with independent film. We talked a little bit about the development of the unexpected. We saw the trailer. Let's get into the nitty gritty, the stuff that's really going to want the audience to come see this. Tell us a little bit about, you said it was an ensemble cast, so give us a little bit about the positions of where some of the main characters are so that our audience can empathize with these guys and want to see them on this journey. So we have the first character by Matt Walsh played as Gary. Tell us a little bit about who Gary is and what his position is.
Gary's the everyday schlub. He represents me. He represents you. He's just the guy who has a family and has a job, and he wants a little bit more of life. So he unwillingly uses his family's life savings to invest in Metal Mike. Which is, I mean, I don't know how you want to spin that way. That's a big no-no.
Well, yeah, people will always be bamboozled by the offers of something bigger and better, a quick buck. It's amazing how easily people are
they're swindled by that out of a little bit of lack of opportunity, a little bit of desperation. Gary as a character, like what is his hope that if this pays off really big, what is his hope that he's going to bring to his family if this pays off?
Good question.
His respect back from his family, that he can get his family back.
Oh, okay.
Because the whole movie, you start seeing how much it's affected him, and well, not only that, he's the ringleader of his friends. In the previous script, there is a line from Patty when he's like, "This isn't fucking funny." Patty is a recent divorcee Latina um, paralegal who saved money to buy her first house and loses it. So now, because she doesn't have a house, she might lose custody of her kid. It's it's a real problem. And then Carl, played by Francisco, is an actor who was that he finally has a little bit of money to go and chase his dream, and he loses it there. And Jerry Bednob's character, Kurt, was a middle-aged man that got money from life savings and insurance and social security, and now is forced to live in you have to see the movie. I don't want to tell too
Well, no,
much.
like I'm just like, what are the inciting incidents or the key attractors that make us want to be like, because we know from the trailer, they're on the journey to get their money back.
Yeah.
So we understand that part, and I like what you were able to suggest, like especially with Patty's character, how she doesn't want to lose shared custody of her kid. So like that's a great stake. I mean, people who love family, boom, there's a reason to go see this movie. Will she be able to pull this off? For Carl, the actor who's got those head in the cloud dreams,
and finally has some money to invest in headshots and live in a new place. And
yeah, which is very rare for a lot of actors to have. So you want to lean into that. And then Gary, a guy who feels like he doesn't get his respect in his family, takes this risk, compromises that very limited respect as it is, and is now on a journey to try and win it all back. I think those are some great hooks for those out there listening, and for those who might be interested in this movie, to try and motivate you to go and see it when it appears locally,
very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you,
any final words, Paul, before we?
I'm just hoping Alejandro becomes a big star so I can suck up to him and call him for stuff.
You can do that still right now, sir.
I'm waiting for you to have more schlep.
Yes, of course. Well, hopefully, if people dig the unexpecteds, whatever that means, I'll make more movies.
I had a question. Was everyone from Hollywood acting in this? Everyone?
No, absolutely. Great question.
Sorry,
No, not everyone.
No,
we have a lot of cast members that are from Albuquerque. We have some that are from Jersey. We have some that are from Argentina. Some from that are that we have actors from Denver, from all over the place, and you get to see them from Texas. Like Metal Mike is played by John Kaler, who I did a short film that's on my YouTube page called The Wrong Guy. He's from Texas. And Danny, who plays his best friend there, and in the world of the Bitcoin villains, she's from Denver. So we have a wide range of talent, from comedians to serious actors, martial artists. Like Alejandro de Hoyos is a trained kickboxer. I think he's a black belt.
And was this done under the SAG independent production agreement? Okay,
and
that's
it got me as in the DGA.
Yeah, and the managing that alone put me off of actually making anything.
Man,
people out there have no idea how crappy it is and how difficult it is to manage the independent film agreement. All the rules and the stuff and
you have to do a lot of things. You have to be Mira. You want to make movies with your friends.
You have to have a separate person to do it. I'm sorry.
Exactly, because you have to jump through so many hoops you have to put this, you have to give this deposit. And in good sense, because there are productions.
Yeah.
And I know of that have tried to screw over actors. Imagine you being an actor flying into this city that you don't know of, working your ass off for 12 to 13 hours every day, sleeping in a maybe not so good hotel, for then after you finish going through all of this in the cold weather, and you don't know you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
People shouldn't have to worry about that shit.
So with that being said, we're gonna round out here. Are there any final words, Alejandro, you want to share with the audience regarding the unexpecteds and what you have in store for audiences in the future?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for doing this. This means a lot. Polly, thank you for making the connection. If you guys haven't seen or gone to the Latino slant, do so. Uh,
Absolutely.
what do I, Gene? I mean, if anybody wants to see a Y2K movie that will actually dive into existentialism and Y2K, go check out Millennium Bugs, my movie. It's on Tubi. It's anywhere from you want to see it online. And my next movie, The Unexpected. I am very proud of this movie. I can't wait to start promoting it more, but it's coming soon. All I can say is before this summer, maybe. I can't wait. Soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Alejandro, for taking the time to spend this hour with us, chatting about the industry, about your works. It's always a
Thank you.
pleasure. I can't wait to see when The Unexpected starts getting its distribution out there. We'll be sure to, of course, promote it for you. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for those of you listening and watching. Thanks so much for your support. Please be sure to follow Alejandro Montoya Marin on all the socials, which you'll find in the descriptions below. And never forget, guys, a good rule for all independent film: when it comes to great story, it all starts with the script. Take care.